Hey everybody, and welcome back to the HobbyDude 007 channel. Well, got a little busy, had to step away from the workbench for a little while, but that's okay. We're back, and I want to get back on the phone booth. I want to share with you some stuff that came in, as well as show you a few things that I got done. So, stick around. Okay guys, what I have gotten done since our last little visit onto this was, you remember the tread plate floor. I went ahead and installed the steering column collet there, and as you see, the little ramp for the photo etch foot pedal. And on this side, we're going to be adding, we're going to have to do some left foot braking here. I am going to, if you remember, the transmission's automatic, so what we're going to do is right about here, we'll drill a hole, and we're going to scratch build a, probably just a shaft coming up, and I've got a piece of rod laying here now that will probably make us scratch build a brake pedal. And right over in here we'll be cutting out our spot where we're going to be putting our shifter. And so we're going to get that done today, get this in primer. Next up, the stool. If you remember, we were going to use just the regular stool originally and have it sitting here, but the real car actually has the post type, like you'd see in a soda shop or something that we talked about. So I went ahead and made that, and this is just evergreen, and I made a little collar for the bottom, and as you see, she's nice and smooth and level, and that stands up pretty good by itself. We'll have that right about here, but I'm going to actually countersink this just a touch and probably put a little stem, a little column up that this will slide down on to give it a little better reinforcement there. And this is the same height as our original stool. In fact, you can still slide that on there, and as you can see, that's right the same size. So it's the same height, so we're good there. And next up, if you remember the Kragers that come on the car, they just weren't really that good. So our buddy Matthew over at Model Car Videos Products, MCV, wow, Products, knocked us out some Kragers, and these things are beautiful. Check out the different size depth that you just add right on to those, and same thing with the wheel size there. But went ahead and got some of those, and as you see here, these are getting ready to be primed. I just fitted them up to make sure how they looked, but check that out. These front, and then those slicks for the rear, a little deeper dish. And let me tell you, these things are very crisp. I mean, well, I'm knocking the camera around as I'm good at, but is that not really cool? So we'll be priming these here shortly when we get that bottom done, and I think that's everything that you've seen, other than I went ahead and marked on the phone booth itself all of those injection pin marks that I had mentioned before. As you see, there's about 8 on each of these panels, and so we're going to be taking our sanding stick and we're going to be knocking all of those off. So we'll get busy on that, and as soon as I get this done, I'll let you see it before I shoot the primer on it, so stick around. Okay guys, so this is where we started, if you recall. You see all the little black circles there, those are the injection pin marks. And I guess I kind of underestimated that, because here we are, we're finished getting all those off now. But let me tell you, it was a longer process than I had anticipated, because some of the injection pin marks were raised, which those were easy to take our sanding stick and knock those down. But the ones that were recessed, thank goodness they weren't too far recessed, but I didn't want to compromise the integrity of the thickness of the plastic so it would look consistent and everything, the glass would fit in it. So we took our dial caliper and then we kept checking as I sanded, and just to make sure that we maintained that integrity anyway. So everything is done here, but like I said, so cleaning this up took a lot longer than I expected it to. So we're getting ready to get some primer on that, but I did tell you I was going to show that to you before we primered it. So we're going to go ahead and get this primed on one side now, and then we'll move on. And on the interior, I mentioned that we're going to make a gas pedal and the brake pedal, and we made that, drilled our hole in the chassis there, and you see the bar across there. That will have a matching piece of photo etch, like it's going to be the gas pedal, a matching piece that will go on that little T-bar there as the pedal. And then we put our stem for the stool to go on, and this is dried overnight, and then our stool again is just going to drop right down on that. And everything is nice and leveled up, and we're going to go ahead and get some primer on all of this and get it ready for some color, some base coat. I was going to use the Revell chrome on some of it, and on a few pieces I am going to use some Revell chrome. However, I'm really thinking about using the all-clad, so I can use polished aluminum, airframe aluminum, as well as the base, the bright silver base for the other colors. And I'm going to go ahead and start on that as soon as the primer dries. We're using Tamiya fine surface primer, so that's going to be dry pretty quick, and we'll get the color on there. And after I get some of the base on it, I've already got primer on those Krager wheels. One other thing I want to share with you before we jump back into that real quick is that front suspension. Had to make some changes. Right here you see the little box that the front arms were going to go in, and sadly the fit was not really good. So what you see here, we had to notch out the front part. And here you see, now this is just sitting in here. We've got that kind of mocked up. But you see where it goes forward enough that we had to notch that out there. And I'm going to let that dry a couple hours. We're going to finish shooting some primer on it, get our base coat on it, the black, so we can get our chrome. Thinking airframe aluminum. Chrome on the front and rear end. But everything is so far looking pretty good. Had a lot of modifications, if you remember in the other video about the front of the chassis there, but that's okay. That's okay. It's coming along just great. So got that done. So I'm going to go ahead and get primer and some of the base black on it, and we'll be right back. Every piece of the car is now in primer. Some of it has some color on it, and I'll show you that here in just a minute, but every single thing is primered. On this chassis, as I mentioned, I filled in a lot of those, like the indentations, the injection mold marks that were under the fenders. You can still see a trace of one right here and right here. And I'm going to do a really light sand with about 2,000 wet sand on this before we put the color on. But I may go ahead and put the bright silver candy base down before I make the decision as to whether I want to go back and resand that. But everything is looking pretty good, I think. Some of the sub-assemblies I've already started. Here's the phone booth. And I've already test fit like the shelf that the telephone sits on there. So as you can see, everything's squared up nicely. I'll be polishing out the clear parts. I don't know if I'm going to get back on this for probably a day or so, because Saturday we're going to be at the show in Charleston, South Carolina. So, and by the way, once again, if you're in the area, stop on in, because I know there'll be at least 4, maybe 6 content creators there that I know of, and who knows, there may be more. Hope so. But I'm going to hit this with one more light coat of primer and then give it a light sand too before we go with color. I was going to use one of the all-clads or a bright metallic on the phone booth itself, but every picture of the real car that I keep looking at is actually, it's just a regular, like, aluminum phone booth. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to be using the Tamiya Silverleaf TS30. And, well, you can see when I was airbrushing, I got paint all over me too. TS30, and this, if you've not seen this or used this before, this has a great, great look. So we're going to be trying that on the phone booth when we start getting that together. And let's see what else. We'll be using the all-clad chrome, stainless steel, matte aluminum, polished aluminum on the engine, suspension, things like that. And by the way, I don't know if you guys have heard yet, but All Clad is no longer. They were purchased by MIG, and they are going to be still, it's not going to be going away, it's just going to be under a different label. MIG is going to be putting it out. I found out today from Luca. He and I spent some time on the phone, and we were talking about this too. Hopefully I'll have a picture to stick in right here, but it'll be a stand, but part of the MIG line. So don't fret that it's going to be gone. As I understand it, it's the same formula. But in that I'm going to be using the All Clad, which is one of my, I've used it for so long, I find it pretty durable too, depending on the base that you use. Speaking of which, I've gone ahead and got the base coat. Whenever you're using a lot of the brands, they tell you to get a nice gloss finish on black finish before you put the chrome down. And as you can see, we've got a nice gloss finish. And here's something else. When All Clad first came out, they said to be sure to use Testors 1247 gloss black as a base coat. And then later they came out with their own base coat. But since I started using this stuff, probably 15, 16, 8, I don't know, whenever it came out, I have always had the best result. Now, I've used Tamiya Gloss Black, Automotive Grade Gloss Black, the Testors Gloss Black, and for me personally, I'll stick this stuff in the dehydrator because this enamel takes forever to dry, and I'll put it in the dehydrator for about 8 hours, and I'm ready to rock and roll. But for some reason, I have the best results using the Testors Gloss Black, and I just decant it, which you remember my video on that. And so these will be chrome, and these are the Kragers from Matthew at Model Car Videos, or MCV Products. I'll get it right in a minute. Everything else, because it's a show rod, is pretty much going to be the same thing. There's that injector scoop. I don't know if I can get the light to hit it just right. And I'm not gonna, let's see. There we go. But I think that turned out really nice. And everything else, the injectors, a lot of this stuff will be polished aluminum. A lot of it will indeed be chrome. And I don't remember if I showed you the automatic transmission, the fan. I don't remember if I showed you guys the pipes after I drilled them out when I primed them, but those have been drilled out. Yeah, you can see them a little bit. And we got a nice gloss finish on those. These will be, I think I'm going to go with polished aluminum on those. There'll be a lot of this other stuff that will be chrome, like the Hemi valve covers, the alternator. After I cleaned these lanterns up, and I told you I probably was going to end up having to do these lanterns, scratch build some replacements, but I really went to town working on these things, and I don't know if that's focusing or not, guys. But I think they actually turned out pretty decent. But we'll see. Once I get the chrome on them, I'll take a closer look. And there is our telephone booth, or excuse me, our telephone. It's a little rough, but you know, these things were textured anyway, and in that it's going to be a shelf model. I'm not going to go all out on that. And of course, that good show rod rear end. So this is going to be chrome, so we got a good finish on it as well. Engine block will be stainless, and I think I'm going to do the heads and the oil pan in a little bit different color there too. But we've got a good finish, a good starting base there. And that old school steering wheel and column. Got that looking good. And let's see, was there anything else? I'm going to go ahead and get this in the dehydrator with the other stuff. I think that's about it. And I'll let this stuff cure overnight before I hit it with the chrome. So the next video is going to be on that. This one's gotten a little long, so actually I have no clue how long this video is. So I'll take a look at that. But look forward to getting back into this thing. And I'm having a blast, guys. Honestly, I really am. I'll probably do a little bit on it tomorrow, but I do want to jump on a part 1 of the chassis for the Saturday Night Short Track group build car and show you a few things that I've gotten in that I'm going to be using on it too. So that one will be coming up next. This stuff should be dry after that, and then probably by Sunday afternoon or first of the week, you'll probably see another update on the phone booth or the Mustang one, or both. Well, guys, that's it. Head over to HobbyNut Models. Check out Mark's inventory. Pick you up some all-clad, some MCW paint. Check out the inventory. Again, it doesn't matter whether you build cars, ships, planes, armor. Mark's got a great inventory on all of it. And also, our buddy Matthew over at MCV Products. Aren't these Kragers just beautiful? So look forward to getting the chrome on these. Gonna look good, gonna look good. All right, guys, God bless. I will see you in the next video. Thanks, guys.